Get ready to laugh, cry. We're talking all the feels. Plus, be inspired, blown away, and ready to transform your life. We paired up two of our soul sisters and Seeking Center guides again. This time, we have Lizzie Cutler and Lisa Nitzkin here with us. And while we don't know exactly what has transpired between these two, we know whatever has happened has been powerful. Let me explain. As many of you know, Lizzie helps you get unstuck and moves your energy back into alignment with her own energy healing technique. Plus, her past life quantum healing sessions help you uncover and heal the root causes of your physical, emotional, or spiritual issues, and ultimately facilitate a conversation with your soul. And Lisa is a renowned spiritual medium, intuitive counselor, and spiritual teacher. Lisa has done thousands of readings connecting people to their deceased loved ones and spirit guides. Through her work, she has been pivotal in helping people heal through their grief. And with all of her experience and these conversations with the other side, she's gained perspective and knowledge that she shares and teaches so that you can live your most fulfilling lives right now. Here's where it gets really fun. While Lizzie and Lisa had heard of each other, they hadn't met until recently. And when they did, they knew they were not only meant to be friends, they were meant to work on each other so that they could continue their own healing processes. So they did, and we can't wait to hear about what they each heard, experienced, and feel now. So let's get going. Hi, Lizzie. Hi, Lisa.
Hi.
So excited about this. We can't wait to hear. As Robyn said, we've heard nothing so far. Let's start at the beginning.
Yeah, let's start with Lizzie. We'll talk about her experience, but first, let's talk to Lisa about what it is you do and how you do it.
All right. I am a spiritual medium, as you said, and an intuitive counselor. And what that means is I meet with individuals and work with them on connecting with their deceased loved ones, their angels, their guides. We all have them. And what happens is they impress information into me for the client, validating past experiences, current situations, as well as future. And everything brought in is for their highest good and their highest good only. And I always say I believe no message is a bad message because it's always supposed to help you in some way. And I really do this work for healing and healing alone. And most importantly, to validate that there is no death. So my job really is to validate who is with the person that's in front of me and what are the signs they're going to see from them even after that day so that they can take it one step further. Because I really believe we all have this ability to connect to our higher selves, to our intuition, to our spirit connection. It's literally our birthright. It's something we're all born with. So I really want to always empower my clients who come in to let them know that I'm really just opening up the door for them to continue this journey with their loved ones and their spirit connection. And the more open they are to it, the more it can be life-changing.
And in this case with Lizzie, was there any prep or a conversation prior to the actual reading?
Prior to the reading, I always encourage my clients and Lizzie to just be present and to come and sit with intention. We do a meditation prior to the connection, and it's about a 2 to 3 minute meditation. And in that meditation, I always have the client, and I had Lizzie do this as well, to connect to who they want to hear from and what they want to hear about without saying it out loud. It's just in their inner thoughts. And that's what we did during the process. And then afterwards, I just started listening and started giving Lizzie the messages and telling her who was with her.
We can't wait to hear. Lizzie, do you want to start by telling us?
I do. I don't even really know where to start because as an energy worker and someone who hears, like when I'm connecting, I feel like I'm connecting with higher self and the client's higher self. I really had no idea what to expect on what would come through. So when Lisa first started talking to me, I consider myself incredibly lucky because up until the age of 40, I had never lost anyone super, super close to me. I had lost people, but no one that was like my heart and soul connection kind of person. And at 42, I lost my dog of 13 years. And then 2 months later, my aunt, who was like a soul sister, like best friend, confidant kind of person. And those were two huge losses for me. And the way that Lisa tapped in and instantly, it wasn't like she was saying, I feel like your aunt is here. She started describing my aunt in her personality, in her essence, the way that she lived her life. That was almost, it was jaw dropping. And it felt like this wave of emotion that came through.
Did you ask her any questions or did she just start speaking?
I didn't ask a single question. We did the meditation. It wasn't like I said, I want you to connect to person A, B, and C. I just said, I'm open to whatever you have. And Lisa gave me like a really incredible intro of here's how I work and here's how this will work and here's how this goes. So I knew to zip it and just let the information flow through. And if you've listened to our other podcast, I'm a skeptic, right? Even though I do this work, I'm also like, all right, let's see what comes through. I'd rather see what comes through than give you the prompt. And when I'm doing sessions for people, I'd rather just trust the info rather than having anything from the client. So I was giving that same respect to Lisa. Like I wanted to see what Lisa does and not try to push her into a certain area. And out the gate, she was like, okay, someone is here. She's full of life. This is what her hair looks like. This is what she's telling me. This is what her energy is like. This is, wow, this is a lot. And Linda was a lot. Like Linda was a lot of love and a lot of personality and a lot of force. My uncle called her the little general. Like she was small but mighty and full of love. And the room was filled with love when she walked in. And Lisa instantly was tapping into that.
And how did that make you feel?
That's a phenomenal question. Like the tears were flowing within 0.3 seconds. More out of, I think, the awe and the validation and like almost getting to touch her again.
Yes.
And the comfort of, oh, thank God you're right here. Like if this woman can find you and see you and tap into that, it means it's not gone. And if it's not gone, it was like I could breathe a little bit more. Well, someone else is validating you're still here.
The way you put that is the magic of that reconnection is what I would say.
Yeah, here's the thing. When she passed and I would get a sign or I would get a feeling of her or whatever, and people would say, they're always with you. They're always watching. You're never alone. I was like, huh. That's a really nice thing to say. And also, I don't want her essence with me. I want her physical body sitting next to me holding my hand. And I know it's never meant as condescending, but I think for most of us, when you lose somebody that you love and people want to squash your pain or push your pain away with those kind of comments, because it's uncomfortable to sit with and they want you to feel better. To me, it felt a little bit like, I'm not ready to let go of the pain. Thank you for that. And this isn't my person to talk to about it. And with Lisa, it was like, oh shit, she's right here.
Lisa, can I ask you from your perspective, because I felt the same way. It's like that deceased person is almost like literally back in the room with you again. You're literally feeling their energy, which is why I think that the tears come because it's authentic. But Lisa, do you feel that too? Do you feel energetically like that soul is with you?
Yeah, I don't think I could do this work without it actually affecting me as well. And some energies are stronger than others. It just depends on the day and the connection. And a lot of times when there are energies that are really powerful in life, they definitely want to make sure I feel that when I'm communicating with their loved one. So yeah, I feel and felt a sense of exactly what Lizzie explained. So I always try to bring that forward because they do a really good job. Linda did a phenomenal job at making sure that I always say, I just want my clients to leave without a shadow of a doubt, knowing their loved ones are right here with them without physically having to be here. And I do think Linda did a remarkable job at providing evidence that it was her, that it was unique to her personality. So yes, I do feel it. I felt it very powerfully with Linda.
So even in the way that Lisa was talking to me during the session was in ways that, and Lisa kept saying to me, I don't know why she's telling me to tell you this. And then she would say it. And I was like, I know why she's telling you that. It made perfect sense to me why she was saying the things that she was saying, because those were the types of conversations we would have. And even to the point where Lisa was like, Lizzie, there are a lot of guides here. There are a lot of beings here that want to talk, and Linda won't give them the microphone. That is so quintessentially Linda. You tell me what you want her to know and I will let her know. But I get the microphone because this is my time with Lizzie. The whole thing was so essentially her that it felt like I had time to be with her again. And then Lisa takes it a step further where it was like, okay, I get it. I believe you. Within the first 90 seconds, I was like, I'm in. This is clearly, you wouldn't know this from anywhere else. So you've won me over. Now what? Because I always go to the, okay, now what do we do with this? And then it started, my notes were, make sure you're doing this. When you need me, do this. Look for these things. Pay attention to this thing. And Lisa would keep saying, I don't know why she wants me to tell you this, but, and then she would go through this thing and it was a situation happening in my family. And it felt like validation and to me proof that she knows stuff that's happened since she passed. Lisa was getting information from Linda that Linda didn't know in the 3D human form. And I was like, I always say to you guys, this is wild, but this was really wild. And I was even taking, when I listened back, because you get the recording, when I listened back, I was taking screenshots because I want to pull those pieces out to send to other family members. Linda clearly wanted you to know this. And this is essential because of these things. This is going to ease your heart. So I had the session with Lisa a couple weeks ago, and I was spending time with Linda's family. So her husband and her kids, and my uncle was sharing something with me. And I was like, holy shit, this is why Linda said it on the recording, because he needs to hear this now. And I was just telling him about it. And I was getting that same face of, yeah, she's always with us. She's not missing out on anything, blah, blah, blah. I want her body here. But now I have this stranger giving this message that he can listen to hopefully click those Legos into place differently. Really what I'm hoping will eventually happen is that he'll book his own session. But I think that for those of us that have lost somebody, it has to be the right time.
1000%.
Because I can also imagine why, and I've said this to some of my friends, of course, who've lost people and my cousins and everyone, like, when you're ready, let me know. Because this was, when they're like, I think I would just cry the whole time. I'm like, yeah, you'll cry the whole time, for sure. This is not something you wear mascara to. Like, you're going to get in there and cry, but it's the healing. It was like I could see the arc of the healing happening in the 1 hour session.
That's right. And what I think Lisa does a good job of too is all the things. But when it comes to knowing timing, because there are times, and there isn't, you can't really say it's this many months or it's a year or whatever, because for every person, it's slightly different.
Yeah.
But because Lisa's talked to thousands of people, usually it does take at least a year for someone to fully accept that someone's gone and that they can actually receive and hear and feel all of what you're saying in the way that you received it. And again, that's just a very average. Sometimes it doesn't take a year and sometimes it takes more than a year. Like with your uncle, I think he's not ready, even though it's been a couple of years.
Yeah.
So
with that point, Robyn, I just want to interject here because I think it's valid in what we're saying is that anytime I see a client, I always say, I really believe in divine timing. So it always ends up being the exact time, no matter what, whether it's been 2 days or whether it's been 20 years.
That's
the
right.
right thing comes at the right time. I really believed your spirits and your energies and your loved ones line you up at the exact moment to receive exactly what it is you need to receive in this divine timing, divine moment. No more, no less. I always say that, like, we all want more. I always want more, but they really give you exactly what you need. And so they line up the right people at the right time with whatever they need in that divine moment. So your uncle, I believe, will absolutely land in my place if he's supposed to, whatever time it's meant to be.
Yeah. Can I give you my holy shit moment?
Yeah.
Please.
Okay. So again, you guys know I love a tangible tool. Yes, this was all good and it felt good and it was lovey and all the things. But moving on, I was like, okay, so now what? And Lisa kept saying, you are receiving signs. You're maybe missing them. And I kept saying in my head, I didn't say this out loud to Lisa. In my head, I was saying, Linda, let me know what the specific signs are that you're sending me so that you and I have that moment. Because a lot of us think like a butterfly. And I would think of her when I saw butterflies or the sort of generic things. I was like, no, give me something good. And Lisa was sharing a story with me about how she did this when her mom passed. I hope you don't mind that I'm sharing this, Lisa.
I don't mind anything that we're talking about.
Okay, great. So Lisa said to me, if you ask her for something specific, not just playing with it, give me a sign today, which is what I had been doing for the past 2.5 years. Send me a sign. And I would go through the day and be like, oh, I forgot. So the other morning I said, okay, Lynn, play the song, Where is the Love? The Black Eyed Peas song. Which this is going to really date me, but it's got to be 15 years old by now. But we used to always hear it in yoga when we would go to yoga together. And I'm like, I'll know it's you. Play that song. And I went to work out and I put on the J-Lo radio Spotify list, not my list, just the random. And it was the second song that came on, number 2.
Aww.
Yeah. So like I started laughing. Like I was at the gym. I was like, oh, hi.
And don't you think what I find, and for those that listen to the podcast, it takes a lot to wow Lizzie, for Lizzie to have a holy shit moment, for Lizzie to believe like something other than what she can actually receive herself. So I freaking love how mind blown you've been by this experience. And for those listening as well, Most people probably think everybody on this Zoom right now has an energetic connection. We believe everybody actually listening right now has an energetic connection. You just maybe have not turned it on completely to really be seeing, feeling, hearing all those things, but we all do. And I think it's interesting for people to hear you may actually receive signs all the time from your aunt, but you haven't been seeing them in the same way or connecting with her in such this much more tangible way that you are
I
now.
felt like I was looking for it. I can't think of the right word, but I felt like I was making it up, right? I was like, you want to see a butterfly, so you're going to see a butterfly, or you're just assigning meaning to that just haphazardly. But the fact that Lisa was like, ask her for something really specific, like a song. And Lisa gave the example of doing that with her mom, and then she would hear the song everywhere. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to pick something that's old that wouldn't really be on anything anymore.
A real
And
tough one. Yeah.
yeah, a tough one. Exactly. Yeah.
Well, and I just think there's something about that reconnection. I'm going to use that word again. From the moment that Lisa started talking and you knew without a shadow of a doubt, this is Linda. And then for an hour, you were hearing Linda because she was talking in her way.
Yeah.
I think it changes things on an energetic cellular level. That feeling, that frequency is like back in your system and it sets you up in a different way.
And I think one of the things that we wanted to point out too is that just because Lizzie is a mighty energy practitioner in her own right, doesn't necessarily mean she has the same ability to actually tune in those.
That's right.
Ones. And so that's why this is so much fun, is to show all of the different levels and components of this work.
Yeah. I think it's hard to imagine that as energy workers, like even when I've worked with other people on Seeking Center, other guides, it feels can fast forward to step 7 because you already know step 1 through 6. And it's no, can you bring me back to step 1? Because
right.
in this part, I'm still a newbie.
I was going to ask, so Lizzie, like the takeaway for you in this, back to almost that question, I like, this is a different kind of experience for you. How do you apply what you get out of a reading like this in real life?
Yeah, I think I'm still processing it because I feel like even in doing all the past life sessions I've done, especially recently, I know that death doesn't mean it's over. It's just a transition. I know it intellectually, but there was something about the way that Linda communicated through Lisa that I felt like I could sense the transition. I could feel the shift in the way that even when Linda died, I was like, she's so much more powerful now. But it was also in my head, like I was saying it to feel comforted. And now in my heart, and this sounds so cliche, but in my heart and in my cells, I'm like, oh, you're literally right here. You're going to see your grandchildren be born. And so it felt more real. It felt more tangible to me. It has absolutely shifted. I talk to her all day, every day now. And I was before a little bit, but I was doing it more to placate myself.
It's like you've actually had the visit with them. You've been able to pull up a chair and have the two-way conversation with them.
She also gave me some very tangible info, like Linda wants to help you when you're working with clients. So you need to have a piece of her jewelry with you and do these things. She is bringing you the partner that you're ready for, but it's not time yet. Like she was giving me specific stuff about the future. And as other grandparents were coming through, it was almost like they were coming and Linda was filtering the information to Lisa of, okay, here's what you need to do in these relationships to deal with these guides that you have. And so it felt more like I now have a liaison or like a college counselor. Linda's like up there managing my guides. And really one of my first responses, this woman had 4 children and a husband that she loved with her whole being. She's not focusing on me. And one of the first things Lisa said was, you really think she's that limited? She's on the other side. There's no limitation. But part of me, I felt so distant because I was like, whatever she does have the capacity and power to do, she's going to do it for her kids and her nuclear family. And Lisa was like, Linda is so almighty and so powerful now. It's not either or. It's not a wheel of cheese that gets divvied up.
That's right. And were you also able to hear from her about why she passed, when she passed, or any of that?
A little bit of just how powerful she is now. And I think there's still that element of, but we needed you here. We wanted you here. Like I'm still obviously healing. It showed me, like Lisa said multiple times in multiple different ways so that it would land in my cells. She's good. She didn't want to leave. She didn't want the girls to have to go through this. She didn't want to leave her partner, but she's good. and it's all love where she is. And she still has a million friends. Like all of the things that were coming through were just, again, so Linda, but she's even more powerful now, which again, intellectually, when she passed, I was like, this all makes sense. If I can think of the 5D of it all, it made sense. And yet no one would have fought for life more than that woman. And so there's still a part of me that's, yeah, but I'm still human. I loved every moment that I had with Lisa and the words, and I re-listen a lot. I go back and just listen 20 minutes at a time. And there's still the human part of me that's, and it'd be cooler if she were still here.
That's such a normal response after a reading and even through a reading. I always say that nothing is going to be as good enough as them actually physically being here. This is the best thing, hopefully, that can be provided.
I definitely felt significantly more complete and whole, and like a chunk of healing had just leapfrogged over a million pieces. And we're human. And this is where like healer, heal thyself. I still need people like Lisa to help me, because that was a total blind spot that I had where I was just sitting with my arms crossed, like, screw the universe. You took a good one away too soon.
Did anyone else or any other angel guide come through?
They sure tried. I had a couple grandparents that I wasn't close to come through and say, we're trying to have a different type of relationship with you now. So we may not have been great grandparents, because I have amazing grandparents. And then I had two that were like not as amazing. And they said, we're showing up for you now. We're helping you on this side. We're here. But it was coming through Linda. And for those listening, just so you know, these aren't grandparents that I think about or miss because I didn't have really a relationship with them. And Lisa was like, okay, there's a woman, a grandmother figure with the letter J. Who is that? And I was like, how in the world does she know that to the letter?
And what Lisa has talked about on this podcast is that a lot of times there's people who some of you may never have even met in this lifetime that were somewhat a part of your family, and they show up because they are guides on the other side. So I love that you're bringing that up. You weren't super close in this lifetime. However, they do play a role. They are guides. They are soul family.
Yeah. Oftentimes when I'm doing this work, when you're opening up that light so big, if there's a connection anywhere, I think sometimes I refer, and maybe I've heard this from somebody else, but that I'm like a bug zapper. Like the second you turn it on, all of the little energies, if they see the light, they're going to come straight in. If they can get that opening, they'll try. But usually the ones that you want to hear from are the ones that you normally do grab the microphone and they don't let it go. But Linda had a different, Linda's exactly what you said, very powerful. She wanted to make sure you knew that. And I think that's really the whole point, is that you do feel that you can continue that relationship with her and that she gave you those specific tools of how to do that. Because I don't think a lot of people understand that you can set the intention also to connect. You can set those symbols, those signs, so that they can put them in your path, and then you'll really know without a shadow of a doubt that they're actually with you. But she absolutely wanted to work with you. She still does.
I want to also say for people listening, very early in the session and then again later, Linda was letting Lisa know that she's healthy now, that where she was ill is now healthy, that her body, all of her things that she loved to do before, she was now able to do again. And the way I saw it was like erasing the way she was at the end, which I think for those of us, when someone passes, most of what I've ruminated on is like, what could I have done differently to help her be more comfortable? Is she okay now? Is she still in pain? So to hear that validation of, again, intellectually, I didn't believe that she was still in pain, but for that to come out of Lisa's mouth without prompting, I was like, oh, that's money. That is magical right there.
I was just going to say too, even about your grandparents, the ones that you weren't close to, I had a situation too in mind where my grandfather came through and there was a big disconnect in our family. And I find that's interesting as well, that on the other side, they want to heal the relationship and they are looking for opportunities to do that. So we may be going into these experiences hoping for that person that we're grieving and that we miss, but there's also that other opportunities for healing.
There are a lot of times, more often than not, that there will be energies that will come through that will always say, I'm trying to make a wrong a right, or I'm trying to do more for you now than I could. Because what they've taught me is that they see their soul contract. They see all the different avenues they took that may not have been for the highest good for somebody else. And then they're trying to really help the living with that, to try and rectify it, to make more karmic restoration, to help out, because the cycle never ends. It doesn't end. And it really is an interesting thing that does come out a lot.
I have to throw in one more nugget here. So I had a session with Lisa, and then maybe a week later, I had a session with Stevie, the astrologer. And one of the things that Linda was telling Lisa to tell me to do, you need to be going here, doing this in these next few weeks. Stevie gave me the same message.
Wow.
Like in your chart, you need to travel, you need to be going here, you need to be doing this thing. And I was laughing. I was
Love
like,
that.
okay.
By the way, that is my goal for most people who may not even realize that they are at a crossroads or seeking that validation, to hear from different people who don't know, haven't talked to each other. In this case, they both
No.
know you to a degree, but they're not talking about Lizzie should be doing this. You can't get better validation than that, in my opinion.
And I had been feeling so torn about it, like up at 2 a.m. Do I or don't, like really stressing about it. And Lisa was like, I don't know why Linda is telling me this, but you need to go here and you need to do this thing. I was like, oh, great. Thank you. And then it came up again in the session and in different ways. And then with Stevie, it was like, okay, so this week something big is going to be happening. And I was like, what is happening right now?
That's literally why I'm where I am right now in my life. And Lisa, and it's gonna make me cry, but Lisa was like the catalyst for that in my life. So I know that feeling, because then when she started that, and then I ended up getting that validation from other people who didn't know me or Lisa, it's, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, that is my wish for everybody.
So I'm going to give one big plug for Lisa here. There is no amount of money that would have been too expensive for me to have gotten the clarity. It healed a chunk of the past, and it gave me so much insight on how to manage the future in a way that, and I'm a freaking intuitive. I do this work. I'm saying this because I also understand that people look at these sessions and they're not cheap. And the information given is so unbelievably valuable. It's 10x what she's asking for that amount of time to have not only the validation, so you're like healing from past wounds, but you're also being set up on how to move forward with this insight of, this is how to stay on the path. I know what you want. I know what you're going for. Here's the next step. And then I'm going to give you the next step. And here's how to ask for it. What else could you want?
And that you're not alone in the process. I feel like so many of us are always feeling like it's all on us to figure it out. And here we've got this whole team on the other side that are just in the asking. And Lisa opens the door to really validating that they are really there.
I think the biggest key there, Karen, is that it's not just about asking. She told me how to ask and how to listen for the answer. That's what I keep trying to say, but that's the way.
Yeah.
That was
My ears are ringing.
Why? What does
You
that
told me
mean?
that too. That Linda will tell, my ears will ring.
Oh,
And I can
well,
just say thank you. And literally it'll come up when I'm falling asleep. It'll start
Oh
ringing.
my
super
God.
loud. And I'll say, hi, Lenny, I love you. What are you trying to tell me? And the buzzing goes down, like a volume dial
Wow.
going down. It doesn't just stop, it like dials back.
she's here.
Wow. Oh,
That's
love
valid.
that.
It's incredible.
That's amazing. Thank you.
Oh.
Thank you for doing all that, Lizzie. And
Yeah, cannot recommend enough.
And then how do you feel, Lizzie, knowing that, feeling that, experiencing that? How then that complements the work that you do, which then we're going to now talk about what Lisa experienced working with you. But can you see how once someone starts this, that then they're now uncovering what's going on?
Yeah. So what I do is I help people clear out the limitations that they have accidentally picked up. So essentially what we thought were facts or beliefs or doubts about ourselves, mistruths that we thought were facts about the universe and the way that this place works. And I help you uncover them from your childhood programming and upgrade them. So I've been sitting with this for a while, and it feels like if you were going through a video game, it would be amazing to start with Lisa and have like she throws the door open in a way that feels like safe and secure and comfortable. And then where I come in is now it's time to clean out your closet.
Exactly.
You let us into your house. You can trust us. You know that we're here to help you and we love you. And by the way, my house has been this messy. So there's no judgment. Anything that you think you're going to feel ashamed of, I've been there, but maybe a tish worse. And now let's clean it up.
that is so well said. I love that. And I just got the chills when you said that.
It has felt like the next step.
I totally agree. I love the way you articulated that. And that is exactly the sentiment that I have too.
So Lisa, can you share a little bit about your experience?
And before you start, can Lizzie just set up, because Lizzie works differently with every person. So I'd just love for you to set up how you were working with Lisa.
Okay. So in the first session, when I'm first meeting someone, I call an energy alignment, which is 1 hour where we're both on Zoom laying on our couches. And it's like an intuitive reading, but I'm not hearing from people who have passed. I'm hearing from your higher self. So I'm connecting to your soul self or your subconscious self and understanding and helping you put words to why you have that ache in your hip or your low back. There's some emotional tie to it. Our soul can really mainly communicate with us through our emotional and our physical discomfort, because when we're comfortable, we don't pay attention. I can feel in my body where something is off or out of alignment in your body. And if I can click it back into alignment, I just do it myself. And if we need any info on it, I'm digging out all that info. Like, where did this thing come from? Where was the initial wound? Where did this start? And then again, if I can clear it, I do. And we work that way for about an hour. And then if it feels right and it feels in alignment, we might move forward to where I offer you a 6-package session where we do 5, what we call energy edits, which is where I'm muscle testing. And again, we're on Zoom and I'm finding the specific words that are going to take you all the way back to the initial programming of that wound. So it might be the fear of being ignored, or the fear of being seen, or the fear of being in control, or the fear of being out of control, or whatever those really tangible vibrations are in your energetic system, because the universe is saying yes to what we believe to be true. So if it feels unsafe to be seen, you're going to constantly be pulling yourself back and then frustrated at why aren't I meeting my goals? So it's that stuckness, that frustration of, why in the world can't I cross that finish line? That's where I can come in and help. And I usually do 2 energy edits, then a quantum healing, then 3 more edits just to round it all out. So the edits are great for clearing out stuff that you've picked up in this lifetime, and the past life quantum healing heals stuff from other lifetimes. And I call it quantum because it really is, once we clear it in the past, it's cleared in the future and 360 all around you, generationally, ancestrally, all the things.
That's so helpful.
So what happened?
So tell us, Lisa.
It's been a whole experience. First of all, I found that Lizzie and I have so much in common, and that's no coincidence, obviously. And I felt incredibly comfortable opening up to her. Which was so cathartic. I found even just that experience alone, with whatever Lizzie was doing on an energetic level, I was articulating things from my past that were kept coming up in memories and things that I didn't even realize was still affecting me. And the past 10 years have been so chaotic in my own personal life and so out of control. And there's been a lot of mixed emotions and situations that have just caused me to change really who I am, and really for the better. But I'm in this place now where, because there's no more of the chaos, it's still part of me, but I'm really stuck. I can't move forward. Exactly what she just talked about. I'm in a really huge crossroads right now. And also too, to Lizzie's point about you're intuitive, I'm intuitive too, and I don't even know where I'm going next. And that's what I love about working with Lizzie and this group, is because when you have this understanding of how this works, you can't always do it for yourself. And Lizzie was really able to help me dig deep and look at some key factors. And there have been some really interesting themes throughout this that I have come to understand better because of the work that she's done with me. It's interesting when you work with Lizzie, she's got such a serious way, but also such an empathetic space, and she makes you feel so comfortable. And I think that's just the most important thing. I always say that when you're doing this work with anybody, you should always feel safe. And Lizzie absolutely provides that. I could tell her my deepest, darkest secret. And I know that there is no judgment. And I know that there is no backlash. She supports you completely. And so throughout this entire process of really bearing my soul and figuring things out and just having light bulb moments, Lizzie has really been able to support me in all of that. So I just want to start by saying that, because I think that that's huge. And I really didn't know what I was getting myself into, but it didn't matter because I trust her so much. She's incredibly intuitive, was able to put work things that I couldn't. And after our first and second session, what was interesting is I didn't realize how much she was really helping to clear things. So much so that I think I was with expelling so much that I ended up not feeling well. But for me, I think that's what I needed. I needed to get it all out and really feel it, to heal it. And then I started feeling a lot lighter. I didn't realize how much I've been holding in and how much it has affected my entire way of living now. I've been isolating a lot more. I don't go out a lot because I feel so stuck. So within these edits that she's done, it's helped me actually. I've had conversations with family members that I didn't know I was going to be able to have, and they went so well. I've been able to get out more, which I wasn't able to do prior to these edits and these clearings. And I feel much more lighter in each step of the way that we keep working together. And it's a miracle because I was really have been in such a place. It's almost felt like paralyzing. I just haven't been able to move forward and see even a future of what does the next part of my life look like after all of this chaos and confusion that's happened. And I know I'm in a place of healing. This just accelerated that process, which really has been so beautiful. And the last thing we did was the past life regression, which was unbelievable. And that has been really sticking with me so much. I don't know if you want me to go into.
We do. I have one thing I wanted to ask before we get into that. Can you recall like the first thing that Lizzie saw for you when you started?
I know that there's a big part about me being seen and me being out there. So much of it is about getting unstuck and my worthiness and feeling self-worth and self-love. That really is the whole point of what I'm trying to work on.
I know for me, when Lizzie started that very first session, she had me at hello because she got in there and she saw me as a little girl trying to navigate a very difficult home life in terms of how to keep the peace in my house. And no one would ever know that because that's not something I'm vocal about. And it was the nuance and the words that Lizzie used that were like, wow, someone else sees this. And I know ultimately that's my soul talking to me through Lizzie. And she's like, we're going to clear this. We're going to clear that is, and you should know that's why you are who you are. Because at a young age, you had to learn how to make every conversation comfortable. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing right now, because that's part of who I am in this lifetime. But no one has ever put words to that or saw it in the way that Lizzie saw it.
So valid, so true. That is, I think, one of Lizzie's gifts is she's a wordsmith in a completely authentic way to be able to put words to your feelings, to be able to really express intuitively exactly what's going on when you can't do it yourself.
Are you seeing things as the session goes on? Can you talk about what on your side?
Yes. So when I'm laying, it's different in each session, but I feel like there are the different ways that we receive this info. And for me, it's mostly clairvoyance where I'll get almost like a cartoon played out. So I'll feel something in my body to understand where it's happening in the person's body. And then I'll ask to see what it's about. And I'll get like this cartoon thing. And then it's almost like I'm shown how to be a cleaning person in there where I'll go in and vacuum it out and give it back to the universe, or I'll scoop it out. And I'm telling the clients all this because I would want to know. But I really feel like it's more of I'm a task manager in it.
Yeah.
We're using you as a conduit and as a tool, go in and do this thing. And I'll say, what do you need her to know about this? And then I'll almost hear or sense. If I said to you, can you hear happy birthday sung in your head? That's how I hear it. It's not like it's a different voice talking to me out loud. And I'm just getting it in my head, in my own voice, but it's a different voice than don't forget to get lemons at Trader Joe's. So it's a different voice than my normal. And that's how I'm experiencing it. And I'll keep saying to the client, is this making sense to you? Because I want to check in and make sure, is this landing, or do I need different words? Because are they giving it to me in a way that I understand it? It doesn't matter if I understand it. I need you to get it. One thing that I wanted to say was, I think this is really common when we're stuck, because I've been here too. And I felt this so strongly with Lisa that there was almost like an acceptance of it. Like, I'm stuck. I don't really want to move forward. I certainly don't want to go back. But you know what? What I just came through was so gnarly that I'm not going to poke the bear anymore. The bear wins. I'm just going to sit here and lock it up and close the door and just be okay. And so many of my clients have come to me, I just can't fight the fight anymore. I'm done battling this out. And what I'm trying to provide and hope I'm providing is I'm going to hold your hand and we're going to go. And the reason I ask for 6 sessions is we're just going to take baby steps. Then we're going to wait 3 weeks so your nervous system sees I'm not pushing you off a cliff. I'm just holding your hand and we're taking one more step. And Lisa, it was so loud to me when we first met. Like, I didn't want you to stay stuck. I didn't want you to be complacent and staying where you were. You felt to me, you were like, look, if this is what it is for the rest of my days, fine. Everybody just, please just stop. I can't take another hit. And so to me, it was more of the like stuckness and the complacency and staying stuck because you didn't know what else to do.
Exactly. And I want to add something about what that first session that we had. And you were talking about your clairvoyance and I'm clairvoyant as well. And so, the two of us working together was really interesting because when she was doing all of this energy work with me, I saw her as an eagle.
Wow.
And she was literally protecting me with her huge.
Oh my God, that's so cool.
So I often feel that she's my eagle protector. And that, again, it was just such a safety feeling because when you do this work, because you are dealing with so much emotion and you are going back in time and you are opening up scars and reliving certain things, that part of you feeling like such a safe person to hold me was so valid and important for me because that's also been one of my themes.
Oh, it makes me want to cry.
Is safety. And who is a safe person for me to be around. And that ended up being one of the themes of realizing throughout these sessions of having such codependency issues my whole life, and then almost being completely stripped and completely turned around to being so independent. And then also maybe having some trust issues of going back out, like who is going to be safe for me and what's going to be safe for me. And so to start that off where Lizzie just literally became that eagle of healing helped me move. I was ready for that next part and then the next part and we haven't even been able to analyze the last session, past life regressions, which was unbelievable. I have had a past life regression before. This is different in the sense that I went into 4 different lives.
Wow.
And they were fascinating. To talk about the themes of them all and how they relate to now all makes so much sense to me. My first life that I saw, I was dropped into the 1800s and I was an angry single harlot.
Oh, wow.
And I had a daughter and she was really my life. I didn't know who the father was and I didn't really care. I was angry and sassy and I felt alone and hurt by men. And I had a hard shell in that lifetime and I died alone. That was an interesting life to reflect on because of just the idea of trust and that feeling of being alone. But I had a daughter who was my whole life and that gave me purpose. And in this lifetime, my children are my greatest. They are the ones that give me the greatest purpose. And it was just such an interesting life to go into that. You drop down and you have no idea. You wonder, am I making this up? Am I not making the same thing even we were talking about before? But I really allowed Lizzie, because I trusted her so much, to help guide me through this. I went with it. It was really fascinating because I didn't really look the same and I was wearing really interesting clothing. And I was in the 1800s and it's not in time frame that I'm often thinking about. And then the second one that I dropped into, I was a Native American man and I was a leader of a Native American tribe. And it was so beautiful. And we were surrounded by a community. And I was this man who was a leader helping the community. And I was helping my sister give birth. And there was so much ceremonial practices. And it was so different than obviously the life we live in now because it felt so pure and filled with love and community. And I died with community. And another theme I'm working through in this lifetime is community and being safe in the community and with the right people. And when I think about it, it gives me a lot of joy. That was a really joyous, fulfilling life. And then the third one I dropped in again. It was again in the 1800s. I was a very fancy, elegant lady. And I had gloves and beautiful Bridgerton outfit styles. And I was in a marriage And I was also in a forbidden love. And I loved this person so much, but we were never able to be together because he was poor and he was not in the same society as I was in. And if we were to have been together, he would have been imprisoned and he would have been taken away from me. So we could never really live our lives out loud together. And I died alone in that one too. But I had a great love. It was a very interesting in that. But these themes of dying alone kept coming up. Then the fourth one is the same theme. I was a very poor farm keeper. And I don't know what time frame it was in, but I was living with my grandparents and I was helping to keep up a farm, and everybody around us had died from famine and there was no food. And I kept trying to build crops and there was just nothing. We were so poor, but I felt such purpose in trying to keep up the farm. And that gave me purpose. And I was finding such joy in the littlest details of life, being in nature, just even seeing the birds and feeling the dirt. And it was like, that's what gave me pleasure. These really simple, beautiful things in life that I think maybe I take for granted in this lifetime. And I died alone in that one as well. And so it's really interesting to see these themes of community and also being alone and love and children, all the things. It made sense to me afterwards when I dissected it of really who the people were and what it all meant and how it relates to now. But it's really, I've been thinking about all of these lives so much and how it can relate to this one and what I can do now in this lifetime to not die alone or to have that feeling of such, I'm alone, which I'm really not. And I think I mistake that because maybe that's loneliness, not being alone.
Right. That's right.
And it's a theme that I know that I need to keep working on.
Did you also hear from your soul at the end of those lives? Were you having that conversation?
Yeah.
Wait, I want to pause for 1 second here. So before you start your session, I have the clients write a list of questions that they would want to ask their soul. And Lisa, this is where it's helpful. Like I offer doing just a one-off past life session. The only challenge with that is if I don't know you, this is the part that you miss. So Lisa showed up with maybe 8 questions and we start the whole thing with reading through the questions to make sure I'm on the same page. I know exactly what you're asking. And as we get through the 8, I'm like, okay, but what about this? She's like, oh, write that down too. And this, because I had done these sessions with her previously, I had such detailed insight into her childhood, her marriage, her experiences as a mother. So I was able to really dig in with, you forgot like 12 questions that we want to ask. And one of the things Lisa struggles with is memory. And so that was one of the things we asked, like, why is this being taken away? So we can ask anything from like, why does my knee hurt to what do you want me to be doing every day to get in alignment with you, my soul, my subconscious, whatever it is.
I feel like you know me so well, better than I know myself, because you were able to understand what questions to ask. The great news is I remember, it was weird. It was right after. I don't remember anything we talked about, but then things keep coming back to me, which has also been really interesting in great detail about those lives.
Yeah. Those kinds of experiences when you're in it, they stay with you.
Yeah, you remember every detail. I was just thinking about that as you were rattling all 4 of them off. It was no biggie for you. You were right back there.
And you guys know me well enough to know I can't remember what I did yesterday. And I always say that too, even just going back to even my work, when you have a visitation from a loved one who's passed through a dream, you remember it so clearly as if it was yesterday because it's so real. It's a real visitation. And if you just have a dream of a person that's died and you don't really remember all the details, that's just your subconscious. I know this was real because I can remember all the details of it. And it's the same kind of situation. So to be able to really re-experience those memories while I think about it, it's really helped me. One of the main things that I didn't realize was happening to me is that because I'm in this work so much, a lot of times I think the memory too, I'm half on the other side and I'm half here in this earth plane and I'm forgetting to ground. I'm really forgetting to ground myself into reality, into earth, into this moment in time. And so grounding has been something that I didn't realize how much I needed to do. And that came up.
I think we got specific info on walk for this many minutes, do this while you're doing it, like really specific details. So Phil, so I've learned that I can ask If someone says, I meditate every day, I'm like, does she need to be meditating every day? And how many minutes do you want her meditating for? And what time of day? And where do you want her sitting? And what meditation do you want her doing? So we're asking like the most detailed insight so that it's not just trial and error.
And I even think there were some things that we asked and they said it's not for her to know right now.
Yeah.
Which is also fascinating.
And that came from your soul, right?
Yeah.
Wait a minute, don't you know? Shouldn't you be able to tell me those things from my soul? But
I look at it like my soul is protecting me right now. It's not something I'm supposed to know.
I've had a couple clients go back in. So I've had a couple clients do multiple past life sessions, and it's never the same info. First of all, we don't need to ask the same questions again. So we're not going to get that same info, but the lifetimes are different, and the lifetimes shown are more applicable based on the round of edits we did right before. And again, this brings me back to the work that Lisa does, that as you see that someone's energy and essence doesn't end when this human zip-up suit ends, seeing all those lifetimes for me has been, oh, I don't have to be afraid of drowning anymore. When I'm in a plane, I was like, oh, if this is it for me, here's where the passwords are, and see you next round. I'm not afraid.
Totally agree. I am the same way.
Yeah. People say, who should be doing this work? If you have a phobia, we can get rid of the phobia. If you have something like that, it's most likely coming from either some childhood experience or something that happened in a past life that is still impacting you now, which makes it no longer past. If it's happening in the now, it's current. You got to deal with it in the now. And I think so much of Lisa's resistance or fear of moving forward was not only about this lifetime, but we saw lifetimes where she was used and abused and left and couldn't use her voice, or knew that if she did use her voice, she or this person that she loved were going to be essentially killed. So seeing that and doing the energy work in the moment of, okay, we choose to leave this here. We package it up, we bundle it up, we remove it from our energetic body. It stays in that lifetime. It's no longer allowed to carry through. It cuts that cord from it being able to impact you anymore. I can feel the lightness in her. It doesn't mean that she's stepping out into center stage and speaking in front of 50,000 people at a time yet.
Yes.
But it does mean the fear and the anxiety around the judgment of being seen, to me, went from like a 10 to a 7.
That is huge.
And then after the session, the way that I wrap the session up is, okay, have a cup of water and let's chat. And I read through my notes of, this is what you were just saying, and this is how I'm seeing it relate back. It's not gospel, and it's not that this is all that we're going to connect, but to help put it all into place. And so by reading it back and helping the client see, okay, this was answering this question. This is why we were seeing this lifetime. I think you needed to see X, Y, and Z. And here's what your soul said. And here I have highlighted in my notes. If you forget everything else, fine, because it's already working on your energetic system. So it doesn't matter if you remember or not, but here's your homework. Sometimes the soul will say, these are the vitamins we want you to be taking, or especially women with children are not great at going to doctors. And there's specific information that will come through. Don't worry about this, but please pay attention to this. Go to the dentist, go to the gyno, and you're fine. But like, you need to get back in the habit of this. So it's not that I'm getting info like, you've got to go get this scan because something bad is happening. It's no, you need to take care of you. And this is how you're going to show yourself.
I need to add to that because one of the things is me taking care of myself and putting myself on the list and making myself a priority. And even down to, I don't make doctor's appointments. And I think that might've been one of your questions you asked my soul. And I just want to let you know, I made a doctor's appointment.
Yay.
Oh.
And when I tell you, I've not had a checkup in like, I don't even know how many years. I did it.
And again, there was nothing ominous about it. So
No.
it wasn't like a warning of, you need to go to the doctor.
No, not at all. It was more just put myself on the list.
And I think it also, just speaking of divine timing, for Lisa, this has come into your life now because your soul is ready
Right.
to do this work, to receive the healing and then heal yourself, as well as just do the continued work to move forward.
Totally. Completely agree. Yeah.
How does this complement what you do? Like back to the question we asked you and Lizzie before.
I'm not always getting the complete story about somebody. So I think that Lizzie would be a great person for somebody to see in conjunction, because there's a lot in a session that people will have questions about deep rooted situations that I'm not able to help them with, and neither is their loved one.
I noticed this for me going through grief. We all grieve differently and we don't know how it's going to show up and how it's going to impact our life. And I think it's common to have a moment of feeling stuck or jarred in it. Of I'm in this grief. I don't really ever want to let go of it because that means I'm letting go of the person. And I also don't know how to move forward. And I think that's where these sessions can come in handy. I think it's less about letting go of the loved one and more about figuring out this new normal.
100%. I think the grief part, I think that people tend to really get stuck in grief.
Yeah, I think the knowing, and Robyn, you can certainly speak to this. I don't even know if that's a time thing, right?
I don't think it is. For someone like me who I think was going through grief for a really long time, right? Lisa was 7, I was 12 when we lost a parent. It's like almost there's the sudden grief and then there's the subtle grief. And I think you don't realize how that's impacting you. In our cases, until we were older.
But even as an adult, you never knew a life without the grief.
No.
By the time you were 24, already half of your life had been in
That's
grief.
right. That's
I think understanding how it's impacting you and what you can do about it, and knowing as the adult looking back, moving through the grief doesn't mean okaying the fact that a parent died early.
No.
It doesn't mean you're forgetting them any different. Like it's not about that, but I think it requires aid and assistance.
I think you start to understand why it had, for me, with all the work that I've done in the last, I'd say almost 15 years, it's the understanding of why that has been in my life. And then it's the clearing and healing from it, from this lifetime and what I have now learned in past lifetimes. That's what I believe. So it's an evolution and it's a journey.
I want to say one other thing, that we're talking a lot about grief because Lisa communicates with people that have passed. But I also want to say, had I seen Lisa 5 years ago before Linda had passed, she still would have communicated with my guides and my angels and my beings. So this is relevant if you're listening and you're like, I haven't had a huge loss. There's no one that I want to come through. There are. You just don't know about them yet. And
That's
it's not whether you had a mentally unwell parent as a child and didn't know it until you were an adult, or had certain.
That's right.
It goes down as
That's
kids.
right.
And that's what we're working on. That's what Lisa and I are trying to help our clients with is, okay, that thing happened. We can't change that, but we can absolutely change the way you're responding now, which then changes everything.
So true.
I feel like for so many people who are a little skeptical about all this, that if they are going through the grief journey and going and seeing Lisa and getting that validity that their loved ones are still around, gives them that beginning of acceptance of the more, and that we are forever here and we have many different lifetimes. And so that will open them up to a Lizzie, taking them to see their past lifetimes. It's almost like you're going from the macro to the micro. You're going from out there, the potentiality of we are endless living beings, to now the being that I am now. How did I get?
And there are so many times in my sessions where people will say, I don't know why I do this, or I don't know why this keeps happening. And I always say, you should go see an energy healer or somebody who can work in your past life. There's a theme here that can come up. So yeah.
Patterns are great. Like if someone comes to me with a pattern, I have a roadmap. But I just want to say, if you're listening and you feel skeptical and this is new to you, or if someone that you love is deep in grief or deep in like grief of a relationship that might still exist, someone who's still here, I cannot recommend Lisa more because it's so wild. To me, the work that Lisa does, there's no cheating it. This is such a good entry point for you because there's no way for her to fake it. She can't Google this shit.
Exactly. I would say a lot of people who have never had that type of experience or have worked with Lisa, they can't imagine that there's such a direct connection. And I think what makes Lisa Lisa is the way in which she is able to translate the messages. And I think that goes for what Karen and I have found in the hundreds of different practitioners that we've met, the people that we are constantly bringing together, like you two. It's the way in which you're able to translate the messages for each of us that makes you. So there may be other mediums, there may be other energy healing practitioners, and we know others that we trust with our whole beings. However, what we're talking about, Lisa, that's what makes you you, is that there's a way in which you're able to translate that's unlike many others that are out there. And same for you, Lizzie, That's the special sauce here, and that it's authentic. Just like I like to say, in any job, doesn't have to be spiritual, doesn't have to be wellness. It could be anything. There are people who are good at their jobs, and there are people who aren't as good at their jobs, and who are authentic and who aren't. And I know that this field that we're all in seems to get highlighted more as people who aren't, because we're talking about feelings and vulnerability and all the things. And we can say with 100% of our knowing how authentic and also what unbelievable translators you both are.
Thank you. And I do want to add about Lizzie as well, because I think that when anybody gets into being a seeker and doing any of these modalities, Lizzie provides such safety. And I cannot reiterate that enough. And I think when people go into these modalities having no idea what's happening and being freaked out when you hear the word past life, like, what does that mean? And where am I going to go? I think the safety you provide, Lizzie, and the comfort and the empathy and the non-judgmental practice that you have is essential to help with a client heal. So that to me, I think is one of the most important things whenever you're working with a practitioner, is to be able to feel that love and comfort and know that you're with a safe person who's also not taking advantage of you and your pain. And I think that is huge. So thank you to you for providing that for me, because I've needed that.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Oh, I love seeing this connection.
I love you all.
I love you all. And I just love that we can be seeking together and learning from one another all the time. And that's also another reason we brought all of us together, and to showcase that all are seekers and we're all continuing to evolve.
Yeah. And I think that's been a big piece that Lisa and I have bonded over, is there is zero part of us that wants our audience or our community to think we have it all together. We are still seeking as well. We are still going to each other. We are still doing our own sessions. Yes, I do work on myself and all of that, but it's not the same as going to another practitioner. Yes, I can channel and I can do my thing, but I'm also messy.
And by the way, it's like therapists. Every therapist has a therapist.
Yeah.
Right? So it's the same.
Yeah. Someone actually said to me recently, when am I done with all of this? And I was like, honestly, I think when we're done is when we jump off the planet.
That's
like,
right.
When the body is done.
And
So
even so, on the other side, you're still not done.
No.
And I love the fact that you guys are willing to be vulnerable too and sharing your stories with us. I think a lot of people are going to be inspired. And I love the fact we all admit we don't know it all, but this is a great place for us to explore together. So
yes, here's to keeping exploring together, keep seeking our centers together. So if you would like to work with Lisa, you can sign up for her newsletter at lisanitzkinmedium.com. She sends upcoming dates for her readings and classes through that newsletter, so subscribe. You can also follow her at Nitzkin on Instagram. You can find out more about one-on-one coaching, energy alignments, past life quantum healing, and Lizzie's other offerings at LizziCutler.com. That's LIZZICUTLER. Just want to make sure people know how to spell Lizzie. And you can also follow her on Instagram at Lizzie Cutler. Thank you.